Alrighty, folks. Welcome back to Technical Knockout, the MMA podcast. I'm your host, as always, Hussein, and we are back, baby. We are so back. We have left the basement. I made it out of the basement. You know, like that guy that raps on the Instagram, throws the basketball behind him. He made it out of the basement. We made it out of the Apex, and we've made our way to England. And we've got an awesome top 5 welterweight main event between Leon Edwards and Sean Brady. You know what? Who can I thank for this? You know what I mean? We have a card that's going to start at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a card that's going to have a real crowd, an educated crowd, the London crowd, and we have a top 5 fight in the main event. I mean, you know, our prayers have been answered. You know, what can I say? So without further ado, let's get into this fight night. And although it is top heavy, there are some pretty interesting fights on here. You know, we are back, but we're not completely back because the card's not stacked top to bottom. But it is what it is. Hey, listen, we'll take what we can get in this Apex era. Next week, we're going to Mexico. That's going to be awesome. But first off, let's talk about UFC London. Edwards versus Brady. All right, so main event, top 5 fight between former champion Leon Edwards, 1 fight removed from his belt, and Sean Brady, perennial, I wouldn't say contender, but, you know, guy who's been on everybody's radar for a long time, met his demise at the crispy and Canelo-like hands of now champion Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad's only knockout in the UFC is Sean Brady. And you know, we've seen him bounce back from that loss against Gilbert Burns. And, you know, I'm not with the guy. I'm not training with him or anything like that. I don't know him personally. But it really seems that loss to Belal sparked a fire under Sean Brady's ass. And he came out much better prepared for the striking, much better prepared with the cardio in his last fight against Gilbert Burns. And in the fight before that against Kelvin Gastelum, we saw him have no issues going into the third round, where in the past it was like the third round was a death sentence for Sean Brady. And then against Gilbert Burns, he did very well throughout that entire fight against, you know, a very talented, albeit washed, Gilbert Burns. Now he draws former champion Leon Edwards, who is 1 fight removed from the title, as I just mentioned. So this is a huge step up for Sean Brady. I think it's a welcomed step up. This was initially supposed to be Jack Della Maddalena versus Leon Edwards, and I think everybody was really excited for that kind of striker versus striker fight. But unfortunately, Shavkat got injured, so they had to put Della Maddalena against the champion in Belal, and Leon Edwards is left with Sean Brady. A much tougher, a much different fight. I don't know about a much tougher fight, but a much different fight than Jack Della Maddalena. Leon Edwards, as we all know, is a southpaw counter striker. He likes to pressure, but counter. Throws a really nasty elbow, has some good clinch strikes and leg kicks, and obviously he's famous for that head kick knockout over Kamaru Usman, but he showed in the rematch that it wasn't a fluke by, you know, essentially out-wrestling Kamaru Usman by defending the takedowns and landing better strikes on the feet. And now he draws Sean Brady, who is a very young, hungry contender here at welterweight. How old is he anyway? Oh, he's 32. Jesus Christ. How did he get 32? He was just 26 like a year ago. Well, anyway, Sean Brady, you know, very tenacious grappler. Likes to double, triple jab his way into the pocket. Likes to pressure the shit out of people. Huge back. This guy's back is larger than life. Big ass Oni tattoo on it too, which I love. Yeah. Seems to be a very strong grappler, physically strong and also skilled. So, you know, without burying the lead too much, this is pretty much our, you know, classic MMA matchup of a striker versus a grappler, right? We got Leon Edwards who wants to strike and Sean Brady who wants to grapple. Now, that doesn't mean that Leon Edwards can't grapple and Sean Brady can't strike, but that's definitely not the preferred avenue, you know? The way that this fight plays out is a little bit of a mystery to me, honestly. The odds, I believe they have him as a pick'em. If not, Leon is a slight favorite. I think that's fair. I think, you know, it's a really tough fight to pick because we don't really know where either of these guys are at right now. Leon Edwards coming off of that, you know, devastating loss to Belal Muhammad. He may be broken. He may be old. We don't know. And Sean Brady, you know, although he's riding the 2 best wins of his career, It's not that long ago we saw him get gassed out and knocked out by Bilal Muhammad. So I think that's still very prescient in a lot of people's minds. Although, like I said, it feels like Brady has turned a corner since that fight. I understand people's reluctance to pick him here. Now, I really don't know who to pick in this fight, but I do expect it to go over 2.5 rounds. I think Sean Brady definitely has the grappling acumen to, if not out wrestle Leon Edwards, to at least put him on notice very early in this fight. I think he'd be well served to start this fight very hot. Hot, because Leon Edwards is a bit of a slow starter, as we've seen throughout his career. And, in that Bilal Muhammad fight, I think he never really got out of the first gear until like the fifth round it was. So, if Brady can kind of replicate that sort of pressure and kind of put Leon on the back foot as soon as the fight starts, I think that would be great for him. So if Sean Brady can kind of not replicate Bilal's game plan, but take some advice from it, take some tools from it, I think he can have some success with that style of fight here. For Leon, I'm kind of struggling to see him win this fight, honestly. But if he can defend the takedowns from Sean Brady, if he can, use the leg kicks, use the jab from the range, and kind of, keep that distance. If he puts Sean Brady in prolonged striking exchanges, I wouldn't be surprised to see Sean Brady gas out again if he's forced to strike for 5 rounds. Of course, against Gilbert Burns, there was a lot of striking in that fight, but they also mixed in the grappling, and they kind of fought at each other's pace. I think both of them were worried about gassing out, and they kind of made the gentleman's agreement, so to speak, in the cage of mitigating the energy. That's what it felt like to me watching it live, at least. I haven't rewatched it. Maybe I have a misconstruence in my head, but that's how I remember it. So, yeah, I think Leon Edwards needs to gas out Sean Brady. So, knees to the body, kicks to the body, kicks to the legs, jabs, keep him busy, keep him working, and hopefully run away with the fight in the third, fourth, and fifth round. For Sean Brady, start hot, put Leon Edwards back against the fence as soon as you can. Don't let him get out of the first gear and win 3 rounds. If this fight is finished, I mean, I guess I can see a finish on either side. I really don't see Leon Edwards getting submitted. He's very good defensively on the ground. So I think if there's a finish on this side, it might be on Leon Edwards by knockout. But, I really don't see it happening. I am kind of leaning towards the side of Sean Brady here. I feel like Leon may be over the hill. And this is the kind of fight that you don't want to take if you might be over the hill, because Sean Brady is super tenacious, as we mentioned. And, the guy just keeps going forward. So, yeah, I think this is a really good fight. I'm leaning towards Sean Brady, but I think the over 2.5 is a safer bet, as both these guys are really tough. And if the knockout for Edwards does come, I expect it to come late in the fight as Brady starts to gas out. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have there for the main event. I'm excited for it. I just really don't know which side to pick, but I'm leaning towards Brady. And after laying out all the options, if I can get Brady at underdog odds, I'll take it for sure. If he's anywhere like over minus 150, I don't think it's worth it. I think betting the over at that point is a better move. But yeah, it should be a fun fight. Let's go down the list. Oh my goodness, co-main event. I am so excited for this fight. We have Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. This is an awesome matchup at light heavyweight. Essentially for the next title contender, honestly, given that, Magomed Ankalaev just beat Alex Pereira, and I expect them to do a rematch there, and I kind of expect Magomed to do the same thing. The winner of this fight would be either a highly, a highly anticipated rematch for Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev, or it'll be entirely fresh blood in the light heavyweight title picture that we haven't seen in a long time in Carlos Ulberg. So, this is a very exciting fight, and I'm going to pick Jan Blachowicz here, man. I mean, I like Carlos Ulberg. I think he's good. I think he's improved a lot since he started in the UFC. However, I don't think he has the well-rounded skill set to beat somebody like Jan Blachowicz. And here's my reasoning, right? Ulberg is not a good wrestler. Let's get it out of the way. He's not a good wrestler. Second off, he likes to counterpunch. He doesn't like to lead, as we saw in the Menafield fight, as we see in a lot of his UFC fights. He likes to back up and throw that check hook. Jan Blachowicz will not give him that if he doesn't need to. Blachowicz is very happy to strike from the outside, as we saw against Adesanya, as we saw against Pereira, as we saw against Ankalaev. I think Blachowicz is going to kick the shit out of Carlos Ulberg's legs. I think Olberg, being a kickboxer, being from CKO, or I'm sorry, CKO, from City Kickboxing, if he wants to, if he gets leg kicked, I think he's going to want to return them. And we've seen Jan Blachowicz with some of the best checks in UFC history. Full stop. Best leg kick checks in UFC history, I would say, are definitely up there. And I just think Blachowicz is more durable than Olberg. Olberg got knocked out by Kennedy and Zenjiku. That was a while ago. But, I don't think that Blachowicz is, like, too far off of the athleticism. I mean, okay, let's slow it down a peg. We're talking about a, 6'7" Nigerian MMA fighter in Kennedy and Zenjiku, but the explosiveness of Blachowicz and the durability and just the toughness, and the guy is like built out of rocks. It can't be understated, and I just feel like he has the craftiness of veteran status that he's been in these UFC fights before, or in his title fights before. He's been in the main events before. He's beaten a lot of great strikers. Look at his career. He's beaten so many great strikers and went to very close decisions with some other ones like Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira. But yeah, I think that Blachowicz has the tools to get it done here, and I don't expect Olberg to knock him out. That's for sure. I don't expect Olberg to. I guess I could see him kind of being fancier and staying on the outside, but I really feel like the leg kicks are going to catch up to him from Blachowicz, and I think Blachowicz is going to be able to find his way into the pocket and do some real damage to Olberg, who, in my opinion, has good defense but not a good chin. We've seen him get tagged before and get hurt if he gets hit. So I think it's really his defense that saves him, which is good. I like seeing fighters with good defense. I'm not trying to, slag the guy. I just think that this is a bad matchup too much too soon, and I'm going to take Jan Blachowicz here with confidence in the co-main event. And at plus 225, give me it all day, baby. I'm going to eat it up. So I like Blachowicz here in the co-main event money line. Don't get greedy. Don't try to pick him by decision or knockout or whatever. Who knows? Maybe he even submits Olberg. We have no idea. But I like him for the money line spot for sure, ski. So give me Brady, give me Blachowicz. We're riding with our boys in white. Let's go further down the card, and we're going to keep riding with our boys in white because I'm definitely taking Gunnar Nelson versus Kevin Holland. Let me explain. Kevin Holland doesn't care. He doesn't give a shit anymore. He's busy talking about 45-70s and shit like that on Jackson's podcast and, fighting crime in the streets and smoking weed and, my boy, but not a fighter who I would put any stock into in 2025. Just doesn't seem like he cares about this shit anymore. I think he's just out here getting money, which is awesome. Good for him. But when you're fighting Gunnar Nelson, a guy who fights once every 3 years or whatever, or once every year or so, this is somebody who really gives a shit. And they really care. And, they only have that one fight a year, so they want to make it a good one. Gunnar Nelson, we've seen take down and submit people many, many times. Kevin Holland, we've seen get taken down and submitted many, many times. I think you can put together the pieces here. I think Gunnar Nelson is going to come out with a wrestling-heavy game plan. I do rate Gunnar Nelson's grappling very highly. I think Kevin Holland is a good grappler as well, but Gunnar Nelson, he's a phenomenal grappler, and I think he's going to be able to take down Kevin Holland and pretty much have his way with him here, and eventually either find a submission or win a decision like 30-26, 30-27, 30-26 kind of shit. So give me Gunnar Nelson for sure, ski. I'm going to take him money line as well. Yeah. Next one, you have a women's strawweight fight, I should say. Molly McCann versus Alexia Tainara. Now, this girl's making her UFC debut as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, rather. And it is the O2. So you'd imagine that they're giving Molly McCann a easy fight to win in front of the London crowd. That being said, she comes in as a plus 150 underdog. I'm really not too sure what to read into about this girl, Alexia Tainara. Let's take a quick look at her record. She's Brazilian. Mostly her wins are by submission. Coming off of the Contender Series, faced a bunch of bums. Yeah, I don't give a shit. I really don't care. I don't care about this fight. I hope Molly McCann wins, I guess, just so we see the London crowd pop off. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she won. Putting her against a Contender Series fighter, getting her at underdog odds, London crowd, might be worth to take a stab at the underdog here. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Jordan Vucinic versus Chris Duncan. This is a really fun fight that I have no idea who's going to win. I want Chris Duncan to win. I really like Chris Duncan, but Vucinic is also a very good fighter. This is going to be a fun striking fight. Definitely one to watch, not one to bet on. And then this fight coming up, this featherweight fight to start off the main card. Man, I'm so excited for this fight. This is gonna be my if well, I mean Blachowicz and Ulberg, I'm really excited for, but this is a very close second for me. This is Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan Charrier. We have the Frenchman versus the Englishman. Again, English crowd. The crowd's gonna be on Nathaniel Wood's side. My goodness, my nose is so itchy. What the hell? Um, the crowd is going to be on Wood's side here. Charrier, very exciting fighter, very talented fighter, very well-rounded fighter. Bit of a gas tank problem, bit of a used to being the hammer and not used to being the nail problem that I've seen personally. Nathaniel Wood, on the other hand, very smart fighter, very well-rounded fighter, maybe a little undersized for featherweight, but his tactics, his skill, I think make up for it and then some. I'm going to take Nathaniel Wood in this fight. I love Nathaniel Wood. I really do. I love his style. I think he's a very smart fighter. He's very cerebral in there. Throws a great jab. Great leg kicks, great grappling, great decision making in the octagon. Morgan Charrier, albeit a much more explosive fighter and a very exciting one. I don't think his grappling is up to snuff for Nathaniel Wood. I think Nathaniel Wood should be able to take advantage of him in that realm here. And to get Wood at underdog odds again at plus 136, I think I saw it at. I'm all on it, man. Give me Nathaniel Wood here, money line. I love this fight. And I hope Nathaniel Wood can get it done. But if not, I think the decision bet is a good bet here. I expect this fight to go the distance. Both these guys are really tough. And although they look for the finish against everybody, both of them are very hard to finish in their own right, so I would take this fight to go the distance, but I'm going to take Nathaniel Wood money line outright. Next, you have Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla. Another great fight, another great striking matchup where the Englishman is going to have his hands full. I mean, I'm not really sure where to go in this fight. I do feel like Jai Herbert's a little bit over the hill at this point, but Chris Padilla, either shows up or he doesn't, so this is going to be another fun fight to watch, not one to bet on. Next, you have Felipe Dos Santos versus Lorner Kavanagh. I love this fight. This is a great fight. I mean, these prelims are awesome, man. This whole undercard is awesome. But I believe Kavanagh should have the tools to get it done. He looks like a really, really, really solid fighter. So I'm excited to see how he shakes out in this UFC flyweight division. But so far, so good. I like him so far. So let's hope he can keep that going. And Dos Santos is a menace. So this should be a really fun fight. Next, you have a heavyweight affair, Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. You guys watch this podcast, you know I love Marcin Tybura, and of course I'm gonna pick him against Mick Parkin. What are you, crazy? You think I'm not gonna take my boy against Mick Parkin, the guy who jabbed and barely won a decision against Muhammad Usman? Come on. Marcin Tybura should be able to wrestle this guy. If he doesn't wrestle him, he should be able to jab him and use his veteran craftiness to kind of corral Parkin around the octagon. Parkin, a good striker, but no pop in his hands. Yeah, I'm going to take Tybura here. Give me Tybura, baby. And I hope he's a dog. But they'll probably make it a pick'em. Christian Leroy Duncan versus Andre Pulayev. I do not know who Pulayev is, but this feels like a setup fight for Leroy Duncan to get back in the win column. I think he's coming off a loss, but either way, I think they're trying to get some good graces behind him. I think they've always been trying, but he kind of got in his own way at one point there. I believe it was against Armin Petrosian, but I don't remember. Anyway, I like Duncan in this fight. I think over 1.5 is always a good bet with Christian Leroy Duncan because he kind of takes his time and develops as the fight goes on. But again, I don't know this Pulayev guy, so maybe he's some really good grappler or something and survives, but we'll see what happens. Next, you have Sean Abanda versus Pooja Tomar. I'm not going to dignify this with a breakdown. This fight sucks. Both these women should not be in the UFC. Next, you have Nathan Fletcher versus Calvin Loughrane. This is another really, really good fight on the prelims here at bantamweight. Nathan Fletcher was on the Ultimate Fighter season, the one that had Con Offley and Myron Santos. Solid fighter. Ran into Con Offley and lost to him, but, I think he's a great fighter. He showed a little bit of a grappling deficiency in that fight, so if Colin Loughrane can take advantage of that, we'll see that happen. But I think this is going to be a fun fight to watch. Next, you have Guram Kutateladze coming back. Guram, Big Goo. He's taking on Kyle? I don't know. Fernandez. He's taking on Fernandez. This is a gimme fight for Guram, and he should win. Does that mean he's going to win? I'm not too sure. We saw him collapse against Elvis Brenner. His cardio did not look good in that fight. So if he can't get this guy out of here in 2 rounds, I kind of expect the same thing to happen. He's always kind of been a problem for him, is his cardio. But yeah, they have Guram as a huge favorite here. So if you are watching the fight and you see that Guram is winning the first round, but looking tired towards the end of it. Might be worth to take a live stab at Fernandez. I'm sure you'll get crazy odds on him that way, but yeah, that wraps up this UFC London card. Let's go down the betting slip real quick. There's a few fights on here that I'm really excited for and some that I think we have some good betting value. So let's start with the main event. I am going to take Sean Brady. Co-main event, I'm going to take Jan Blachowicz. Then I'm going to take Gunnar Nelson. And I will round it out with Nathaniel Wood and Marcin Tybura. Now, listen, I understand. I have a lot of bias in this card. I love some of these fighters. Nathaniel Wood, Jan Blachowicz, Marcin Tybura. These are some of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now and of all time. So, forgive the bias. But just to reiterate, go down the betting slip one more time. We're giving you Sean Brady money line. We're giving you Jan Blachowicz money line, Gunnar Nelson money line, Nathaniel Wood money line, and Marcin Tybura money line. Give me 5 picks, all money line. Throw a round robin on that bitch, and let's hope to make some money this weekend, man. We've been doing decent these last few weeks. We went 4-2, and then 2-2. So let's hope that we can pull off 4-5 this weekend. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Check out my video on Dirty Boxing and Justin Gaethje's performance against Rafael Fiziev. Check out my video on Frankie Edgar's career. Check out my video on Dominic Cruz's career, Alexei Oleinik's career, Genki Sudo. I love you guys. Check out the historical pieces. That's really what I love doing on here. I love doing these too, but the historical pieces have a close place in my heart. So appreciate y'all. Much love, and peace out, y'all. Take it easy.